are on match point. They could easily end FlyQuest hopes, send them home after that Nexus defense. FlyQuest, focus up.
Into Champion Select, powered by Omen and HyperX for the 4th time today, and the bans look so similar. It's deja vu in draft as the Cassiopeia and Azir remain banned by BLG every time they're on blue side. The Twisted Fate continues to be banned by FlyQuest, but this time it's Lucian they're banning away instead of the Varus, while BLG maintains their first set of bans in their entirety, continuing to remove the Galio. FlyQuest will continue to remove the Rumble.
Yeah, BLG really want that Rumble, and FlyQuest like, we are not giving it to you. But naturally, when we get to game 4, champions like Varus have to be let through the pool, and so BLG will grab that one for themselves. Should come as no surprise. We think about what...
Caitlyn Elise?
Potentially.
Bruh. What are we looking at here, yeah.
There's also Sivir, Jhin. Yeah, Jhin, very common matchup. The Bard is available. I do like Bard into Varus. It could also be very early into the draft, of course. No need to prioritize the Bard now.
Okay, we will get the Jhin. Remember back in game 2 when we had the interview with Lore and I Will Dominate, Dom talked about how he didn't want to see the Kalista Renata, how he would have liked to see something like a Jhin Bard instead. We'll see if that ends up being the pairing here for FlyQuest, or if they'd rather go for something else here first. Inspired in the jungle, just so critical for this team every single time. Getting him on a priority pick early on could be what they need here, and that Trundle is very powerful in the right situations. They'll lock it in.
Interesting. Yeah, it does a couple of things, Blind Trundle. Obviously, it's going to dissuade tanks for top lane and a lot of like blind top lane champions there. Also, extremely good if you have winning lanes and to go for invades, because he just dominates so many jungle 1v1s.
Isn't Nocturne a common response into this?
Nah, you definitely can go Nocturne. I mean, you can do the like...
Because like the things I'm thinking of, like Jarvan. I mean, like, Jarvan's okay into Trundle. Early on, you get really bullied. Lee Sin could also be fine. Nocturne is another possibility. Trying to think of, like, you could go more, like, Maokai I don't love. You just get super bullied out in the early game. Skarner, I mean, usually you want to avoid picking tanks into the Trundle. But, of course, if you connect with the CC, there's not much the Trundle can do about it. All right, they're going to go for the blind Yorick on the top side of the map. Been very well known for this champion domestically.
Yeah, very good at it.
Speaking of domestically, I know that domestically Azael hates the blind Yorick. Talks about how the champion is very good in his good matchups, but also has some seriously punishing ones.
Okay, but we did see Whippo try and do Mordekaiser into Flandre's Yorick, and that one was a miss.
A little rough.
So I think it will be a different choice of counterpick this time around.
But we get Bard.
Sion is fearlessly banned, so Cho'Gath is one of the big ones.
I mean, do you reckon Whippo would play Aurelia?
No. I don't have that feeling. I think it's just Aurelia is too hard to operate later for the side.
I mean, Cho'Gath definitely feels like the front runner right now.
But they might just ban it.
Exactly.
Exactly. So now that you expect junglers to be pinched on the side of FlyQuest, I wonder if Nocturne will be considered for their bans. Syndra, oh, they're going to pick apart Knight's pool, try and limit what options he has available with Cassio, Azir, Galio, Twisted Fate, Syndra. That's an additional 5 bans on top of the 6 mid laners already taken out of this series.
So we're looking at like Orianna tier at the moment.
Well no, there that goes.
No.
Yeah, well,
so now we're looking at even like Ziggs mid lane. God, we're really getting deep in the mid lane pool now, aren't we?
I mean, Silas is still up.
Silas is a good one.
Is good.
In these comps,
Veigar.
Oh my, Veigar could be super interesting. I think it would struggle into a Bard. Oh, Akali, that's a good ban as well. One of the more mobile mid lane champions that we see.
We get a 4th mid lane ban in this second half from BLG. They know they need to target solo laners specifically. They'll ban out that Silas.
All right, so the mid pool is very narrow now.
Hui, if you want to go control mage, I feel like Hui has a lot of good range. Hui definitely needs like more structure than a lot of other champions though. Needs more combos.
I mean, at this point, we are just kind of throwing darts at a dartboard.
I mean, that is a wide Whippo.
Yeah.
Pull it apart, make him wider. Pull it apart.
Yeah, you got to add more in the middle as the series goes on.
Let's get that gap in the middle.
Find a third guy.
We were literally talking about this today.
I told you. Set into Yorick is the pick for Whippo.
Is this good? In my head, I could see how like you could use the ghouls to get the stun onto the Yorick, but like this is not a matchup I'm personally very familiar with.
Set is very, very aggressive. Whippo really loves this champion and wants to try and pressure early. So
Kindred is so good.
True. Their 2v2, their 2v2 is amazing. Set and Trundle just turbo blast anybody, and we have seen back in the first game, like when they were doing Bash Bros style for Whippo and Inspire, just trying to take every 2v2, run into them, and try and stat check. Stat check, Trundle and Set are pretty good at that.
Well, we've also got a massively AD favoring comp for the side of BLG with Tristana mid and then the Varus bottom. Yeah, you'll get some magic damage out of the Maokai. I expect to probably see the Red Smite Leandries build at the very least on this to add some extra AP into the mix. And the final pick for FlyQuest will be the Hui that you guys were talking about.
Yeah. Trying to get that extra range.
I think that FlyQuest have a decent amount of range at their disposal. You think of both Jin plus Hui, a lot of potential poke. There's also just like great chase down potential. The Trundle and the Set are also just fantastic skirmishes. I think that if they're able to get Prio in the early game, this Maokai's really going to struggle to really fend off a Trundle that's just walking into his jungle and stealing away his camps. I'd love to try and see FlyQuest leverage that.
Definitely agree, Flowers. We're going to get a little exchange early on, but shouldn't turn into too much. We do have a sweeper start for On here. So he's just going to go for his recall, though.
Okay.
Now, gentlemen,
That is.
the last time we saw Whippo set internationally, it was Game 5 versus Gen G. I remember being very excited at the start of that game. About halfway through the game,
I was going to say,
it became
how
very,
many
very
minutes did it take?
Oh, no.
I want to say about 10.
Yeah.
So, I have some experience because I did cast the series. How do you guys feel now that you see the set?
I also
here in Game
casted
4?
the series. I was there.
Oh, you were there
It was
with
you,
me.
Zale, and I.
Oh, it was, yeah.
I was also
How
there.
do you feel,
Dennis.
Kobe?
I'm literally stuck in the last game at the Nexus and thinking, why?
All right, Whippo's at least going to start off by giving Ben a couple of punches here in the jungle. Whippo's happy to try to keep these trades going for a longer period of time, but remember that Ben does have help closer by, so Whippo doesn't want to overstay his welcome here.
Yeah, Whippo does want to trade really early on, though. Try and make use of his passive. Stacking up his Conqueror here.
Wow, he's just sacrificing farm.
Yeah, and he's
my
just
God.
beating the snot out of Ben.
That's what you want to do on your set. Always just go fist fight them right at the beginning. Gets
Literally.
Literally, exactly. Use your passive, use your OP autos there. Stack
Just
up your Conqueror. And he,
Extremely well played by Whippo. I love that level of confidence. Now, Knight with some confidence himself, committing to the trade in the mid lane. Nice trade back from Quad.
Yeah, both mid laners now down to 200 HP, drinking their potions.
and a key thing whenever you are playing set or any champion like that wants to go for these really brutal level ones, you want that vision on blue Gromp. So that ward key there, it does see the Beishuan start, does see that it's going to be top side down to bottom side for the Maokai. So that allows Whippo to continue playing aggressively.
Lucio walking over a ward as he makes his way into the BLG jungle, but now Beishuan, he's caught on the wrong side of the Pillar of Filth. He has to flash away to stay alive as Inspired and Bucio try to invade, but On is here with a grand entrance. Bucio down to half HP, teleport coming in from FlyQuest. They are committing to this. That teleport takes forever to channel at this point in the game, so Whippo teleports deep into enemy territory, and now it's time to walk all the way back top.
I don't agree with that teleport. I understand wanting to be there to help generate the numbers, but you kind of just concede the advantage that you'd build. I mean, okay, the good news is that that wave state, he's probably going to lose that cannon, but he's not going to lose out on too much farm because the wave is pushing towards him. The race is on. Will he end up losing the cannon?
It's
Get
still
there,
alive.
get there, get there.
Can he get there in time?
And try to get it. No! Sniped down by
Got the
caster
XP
minion.
though. He did get the XP. But this is exactly what we wanted to see from FlyQuest. Busio working with Inspired to move into the enemy jungle and steal camps away. This Maokai cannot contest the Trundle in these early levels, and taking away whatever he can just puts FlyQuest in a good position here in the early game.
Yeah, they need to use their early advantages with the counter pick, as well as, like you're talking about, constantly go for invades with Trundle, utilize the early power. Bottom side as well, pushing in does bode well. If you can push on bottom side, open up some roam timers there for Busio on the Bard. Busio loves going for early recall roam timers towards the top side of the map. And you could have angles towards either top or mid for.
Nice trade. E into auto Q to help get that quick reset just means you get a nice advantage. Bwipo not feeling the need to use that W. He probably wouldn't have got that much damage out of it anyway.
And Busio is, like we're looking for, going for that top half of the map, open off of his recall. I did notice there were blue question mark pings, though, on that respawn. So BLG are very clearly calling the timer here for the rotation for FlyQuest, saying, hey, Bard is roaming right now. And so they make their swap utilizing the teleport from Elk. Wise decision here from BLG.
Of course, Bwipo's already committed that teleport, and Jin had already started walking towards the bot lane. So BLG guaranteeing the swap. Busio here to assist, though.
Now Bwipo wants to get this shoved up. Goes for the face breaker there. Haymaker will clear out the last bit of the wave. Gets that one ready to crash, but Elk and On want to freeze it. Busio's going to step up, try to harass him a little bit. Yes, you've got the turret clearing out the melee minions, but all three ranged, still alive, still auto-attacking. Doesn't really matter a whole lot. Bwipo wisely stepping all the way back a little bit extra for his recall to make sure that Varus can't interrupt it.
Now the Jin. Masu making his way towards the top lane. A bit of a freeze has been set up by the BLG duo. But you look at that top lane difference, Bwipo still holds on to a healthy gold lead. Quad doing a good job of farming in this matchup as well. And ultimately, a small gold advantage in favor of FlyQuest. That first dragon of the game is available. You can see both junglers heading towards it. I think Beishuan just wanting to get a bit of information. Whereas Inspired may want to start it soon. Bwipo, though, the jungler's in the area.
Yeah, but he's immediately going in for the combo despite that. Gets caught up in the cage here, takes a little bit of extra damage. Beishuan's nearby, but it doesn't matter a whole lot. Now Knight could be in some danger as Busio rotating over to the mid lane. Knight sidesteps away from that severing bolt. Remember, when you're isolated, the thing does so much damage. Bwipo finds another nice face breaker there onto Ben, forcing him all the way back underneath the tier 1 turret.
And they should pull out that dragon started up here because Bwipo is able to win so hard here and push Bin back again, force Bin's, actually he's not even going to force the teleport. Bin's just walking back because the wave is pushing over there anyway. So he's going to take the walk over. Now, Quad still retains his CS lead from the early levels that we saw and that extra little fight that broke out around Raptors. It did draw Knight over on Tristana and using his rocket jump there. And so Quad also with his little bit of CS lead in the mid lane. But Masu is under fire. Masu's been in pain this one, and he's the one kind of suffering.
Exactly. Big gold lead there for Elk with 66 to 48 in farm. That's the cost of Busio roaming as much as he is on the Bard, affecting the rest of the map. Masu's just kind of got to eat the losses and deal with it as gracefully as possible. Bin level 6 now on the Yorick, made and available, but Bin is down 32 to 55 in farm. Bwipo really leveraging the power of this set to keep Bin away from resources in that matchup as Masu and Busio trying to get the wave shoved up here on the top side, but Beishuan's nearby. He's got the ultimate ready. Nature's Grasp could come through here as, nope, looks like FlyQuest will take their magical exit and get out of the way.
The swaps are the biggest reason that we see for these deficits. The fact that Bwipo is allowed to stay top lane and just catch that wave, on top of the fact that a freeze was generated by Elk, denying a lot of farm away from Masu, has kind of put them in this unfortunate position. Does mean that both sides have very clear strengths that they can look to try and play through. As Bwipo starting to lose out on these trades now.
Yeah,
nicely done by Bin.
She's so strong, especially when the only defensive mechanisms you have are health, considering she does that percent HP damage. Elk flashing away from the second shot, third hits, fourth misses. The curtain call ultimately not putting on much of a show as FLYQUEST trying to move up, stop some of these grub takes. The third grub is the only one left, and all three secured by BLG. Never mind, FLYQUEST did get themselves the one. Now Masu under pressure from Knight. Massive Maokai ulti coming through. Inspire taking a ton of damage here on the front line, but the first kill's already going over to Knight. Beishwan, 200 HP, trying to get away, but Quad paints a picture, and it's a eulogy for BLG in the top river.
Quad actually smurfing. He predicted Beishwan's flash there to get the extra kill. 2 onto Quad, and Bwipo going pretty ham.
Yeah, he's using the showstopper. He's already pulled out the haymaker though, so his health bar is pretty low. You can see him regenerating extra HP now as Busio joins up, but Bin has already taken Bwipo out of the picture. Now Busio trying to bait Bin in. Inspired shows up. He forces the flash back out of the Yorick, but Bin coming out on top.
Bwipo did not get as much damage as he wanted out of that W. Bin in the extended fight was able to win out thanks to the assistance of the Maiden, and even with the arrival of Busio, oh, that's 2 tower shots, Bin. The TP is going to come through. He's going to have to reset quickly as the Maiden picks up a bit of farm. But FLYQUEST, still important to recognize, a huge team fight win on the top side. Quad being able to pick up 2 kills. It looked like quite a good fight initially for BLG. They get a massive Maokai ultimate. Knight is getting huge damage down onto Masu. And the poke comes through from Elk looking good, but then the damage just kind of runs out. Elk is landing a few auto attacks here and there, while Inspired and Quad just dish out non-stop, constant damage. And they end up swinging the kills in their favor.
Quad is going to be the hope for the FLYQUEST team with the early CS advantage. Now he's on his first item spike here with the Ludens. Big burst damage available. But Bin getting money once again is always a problem. Bin on his Yorick.
Yeah, Bin is scary now that he's got the Maiden, now that the Yorick is really online. Yeah, he's down 30 farm, but because he got that kill on Bwipo, the gold is pretty much dead even. And you mentioned how Quad is the hope for FLYQUEST. That's a different look compared to the games that we've seen so far today. Coming into the series, we expected mid to be a sizable gap in favor of BLG, in favor of Knight. And Quad has come up short in that matchup in these games so far, but this time around, he's the one with the resources. He's the one who got the early kills. Game 4 could be Quad's chance to prove himself against Knight.
Certainly could be. The bigger problem is being on the other side of the map. Yes, he's down about 15 CS, but another plate is going to get an extra one off the back of that. And look at that, a 500 gold advantage over Bwipo. These armor boots doing some serious work in the 1 versus 1, helping mitigate a lot of the early game damage that comes through. Quad careful against On, won't fall prey as Masu gets engaged on.
Now Knight jumping in here should be able to fully arm that explosive charge. Bwipo's matchup into Bin, he was dominating early on, but as soon as the Maiden was summoned up, the matchup just got turned on its head. Ever since then, Bin has felt like he's got so much more presence in the lane.
Yeah, and that kill going the other way, even with the roam down from Busio, is so big too. If he had been able to get that on the side of Bwipo and get to the stride breaker early, but Busio's back out onto the map again, just cruising around, annoying people.
Yeah, it's not like you're going to be able to threaten a real kill on tonight here, but you can at least be super annoying as third shot misses, so fourth shot won't matter.
Actually, some really good jukes right there. If they land the snare, then it starts to get a little bit dicey for Knight, but he's able to juke it out, and they'll continue on with their dragon stacking plan for FLYQUEST, regardless of the extra money that has gone into Bin recently.
A very slow-paced early game here as Busio tries to go in for the Tempered Fate, but he won't land it onto Bin. A nice cage from the Yorick, but Bwipo's going to be the one tanking the turret into the haymaker. It hits Bin square in the jaw, and FLYQUEST claims the feat of warfare with kill 3.
Nice dive from FLYQUEST. Bin was trying to respect the collapse that could come through. He did some nice movement, but it was not quite enough to get away. Bwipo was more than ready to dive. And just like that, he now has a level advantage over his opponent. But the problem with that is you leave top exposed. Elk gonna have access onto these plates, and BLG is doing a good job of cross-mapping where they can.
Yeah, a lot of minions dying to tower up there, but the same is true on the other side here. And again, Quad getting money, so much focused into this way. This champion now has the potential to put out large amounts of AoE damage in team fights as long as you keep it safe.
All right, this time, last game, was about 2,000, 3,000 gold lead for BLG with their hyper-aggressive, very divey, very engagey composition. This time around, a slower start as On wants to go in here for the quickness on Inspired, but the engage immediately fizzles out.
Not sure what the game plan was. I was looking at the minimap and Maokai was in the top river. Maybe they wanted to try and get his flash out. Maybe if they threatened the Varus ultimate as well. But the moment that initial engage was interrupted by the Pillar of Filth, he couldn't really convert it into much. Stride Breaker now being completed for Bwipo means he's got a little bit more wave clear, pushing Bin underneath this tower. And that gold difference between the two top laners now disappeared.
And as we get further into the game, the amount of gold that Elk has gotten here for this poke Varus is going to be very troublesome, because you look at the hard engage on the side of FlyQuest, and it kind of has to come from Bard playing really well. If Busio is unable to force a lot of summoner spells and be very accurate with all these Bard attempts, both with his own spells as well as maybe with creative magical journeys, but we're going to see an attempt at Bin.
Yeah, Bwipo flashes forward to go in for the face breaker. Bin tries to get away there, but Showstopper right back into the wall, and a haymaker isn't even needed. Inspired gets the kill with the damage over time from Subjugate, and now with Set and Trundle together, they've got the one Void Grub too. They'll knock down the turret in the top side.
Yeah, the Stride Breaker we were talking about completed for him. He tackles him into the wall again.
But now a play being made in the mid lane. Busio's in danger, but the Tempered Fate stops Elk before he can do the last little bit of damage. Busio gets himself away. Beishwan and Knight going for the dive in the bottom lane at the same time. Quad's gonna be the target. Spiraling Despair back into Beishwan. He gets away, and BLG get the dive done.
A nice dive from BLG, but the counter response from FlyQuest. These Bash brothers are just bashing their way through the top towers. Nothing stands in their way as Masu now in danger.
Yeah, Masu way too close to danger here with On and Elk ready, but immediately the Bash Bros are ready to back him up. The haymaker won't hit the target of the curtain call is open. On gets away.
That's a close one. On just barely able to escape. But to the surprise of no one, Bwipo and Inspired, they're not done bashing, so they'll make their way towards the Herald. And there's no way in which BLG can respond.
Yeah, Masu there actually goes up so far that he's trying to bait in Elk and On, but it costs him his flash. We'll see if that is an important summoner spell later on, because now he's going to have to stand very far back. Of course, you know, Jhin does have that option a lot of the time, but it was a pretty deep investment there. FlyQuest not done though. They're going to use that investment to take away even more jungle resources.
All right, FlyQuest will claim that blue buff, and I do have to point out, I think that FlyQuest claiming the feats of warfare, the extra move speed on the boots, is critical in this game, because Bwipo, Inspired, Quad, Masu, Busio, that's all 5 of them. Nobody has a dash. Nobody has a blink. Yeah, you've got the ability to go on a magical journey for Bard. Set can use the Showstopper, but it needs to be right next to you. That little bit of extra move speed could be so critical for everyone.
Yeah, definitely agree. You know, the positioning on a Set ultimate could change an entire team fight. His flash cooldown critical as well. Nice.
On. Gonna get chased down now. The magical journey looking after him. Nice Tempered Fate there on Knight. On's the first to die. Knight's gonna follow, and FlyQuest just murdered 2 of them.
Run them down, Flowers. That's what you said, and they do that. FlyQuest back out into the jungle. They interrupt him at first over the blast cone, follow the chase. The magical journeys here have been true to their name from Busio.
You know, the expression, the bark is worse than their bite, but I'm telling you right now, Inspired's bite hurts really hard. He chases down 2 BLG members, finds some quick picks on the top side of the map. Bwipo is going to respond, but this dragon now alive. A bot tower is going to be secured by Inspired. And earlier we talked about how Quad was going to be the carry for this team, while Inspired has taken the spotlight right away from him. 1.4k the gold lead for him. The Trinity Force finished on this Trundle. And we talked about how BLG don't really have much of a front line. Inspired is going to be primed, poised, and ready to fight any foe that runs into his path.
All right, Chains of Corruption hit him, but he's already underneath the tier 1 turret. A TP coming in for both sides now as FlyQuest bring Bwipo in. He's behind enemy lines, but he's very tanky. Bin can't say the same. He arrives only to die as BLG have to try to scatter now. Beishwan's caught by Spiraling Despair, and Bwipo's on a killing spree.
BLG runs straight into the meat grinder, and FlyQuest are happy to turn it on.
They're gonna chase them down. They're taking nothing from BLG. They're gonna be able to get the Dragon. That's number 3, Dragon Soul Point achieved on top of the 3,000 gold lead, Vedius.
BLG are just collapsing in terms of their coordination on the map, getting picked everywhere, moving into areas of the map that they just don't control. And that pillar from Inspired, I mean, forgive the pun, but that was filthy. The way that he positioned it made it so difficult for Baseron to escape. Beautifully done by him. Lucio sees a TP. Okay, they're not going to convert much off the back of that.
Yeah, it's just the Rakan. On flies in there, but he's not under any immediate threat. And here's where I'm going back to the draft as well. There's so much physical damage on BLG that when these Bash Bros on the front line get fed and they start being able to itemize armor,
You got a problem. Knight is caught in the middle of his rocket jump, and FlyQuest will drown him in the river. Quad with another kill as on's the next target. Whippo chasing after him. Shouldn't be able to get a whole lot here. Rift Herald summoned up by FlyQuest in that topside river. Tier 1 turret next in their sights.
Lucio is having an incredible performance. We knew his bard was good, but FlyQuest are chasing for more.
They'll immediately take that Tier 1. If they can escort this Herald in, they could try to get another slam into the Tier 2, but it's going to get smoked down by Basewan instead. Whippo flashes in for the face breaker. Double kill for Quad. FlyQuest are hungry for a Game 5. They are 5,000 gold ahead.
They are grinding BLG into the dirt right now. It's only under 20 minutes still, and they've just taken over.
Inspired is just running rampant on the map. He takes the Herald, he throws it down mid lane. BLG are just trying to wave clear. They think they're safe, but keep your eyes on Whippo. He knew who his target was, and it was Elk. Look at the positioning of the forest. Gets stunned up. The combo comes through. On tries to provide peel, but he just makes it easier for Quad to get a double.
That was so perfect. The combo into the Hwei damage. Let's listen in.
Big. Up, down, okay, up, down, Carol. Okay, nice. Huge, guys, huge. Big, indeed.
That's the code word.
Perfectly done there. And now, Whippo up 1,500. Inspired 2,500 gold lead here on this Trundle.
And you can tell because of the double 80 carries, focuses in on the early Randuins for himself. He is just going to be so tanky. Can we go one game without Glazing Inspired? I don't think so, because he is that good.
He's running the show here, man. He is having another phenomenal performance. You remember back to Game 1 in the series, his Sejuani. You heard it from Dom. He called it the perfect Sejuani game. And now, here in this game number 4, his Trundle showing up absolutely huge. Otacon is live on the bottom side of the map. BLG are around, but you're 6,000 gold behind at 21 minutes. BLG got to be careful about every play they try.
This jungle support synergy is just on point right now here in Game 4. Inspired, FlyQuest know that they are stronger. They want to try and force BLG into an uncomfortable situation. Knight is split pushing on the other side of the map, trying to get some gold back for his team. Whippo applies the slow. He's hunted Knight down.
Yeah, Whippo wants to at least force Knight to use the Buster shot, and there it'll go. But now, another point of pressure for FlyQuest. Another beautiful deadly flourish off the back of Busio, setting it up, and Elk is dead. Enemy 80 carry down. Enemy mid laner under pressure. Whippo looking for a little bit more as Knight has to flash away just to rocket jump. And he teleports to guarantee it too. That's both summoner spells from one carry. That's the life of the other. And all the tempo belongs to FlyQuest.
Whippo looking like David Goggins out there, running him down. The determination, ever so slowly, walks him down, forces him out. That is double summoner spells off of the Tristana, and FlyQuest own Summoner's Rift.
All right, Quad just trying to keep the wave pushed up down here in the bottom side. There are 3 BLG players nearby as On and Baishuan try to step up, try to establish some little bit of vision control. Omasu though, Knight jumping in, forcing the flash. Knight with a massive shutdown there to kill off the FlyQuest
FlyQuest AD carry, but it will cost him severely as Inspired jumps in and beats him to death with the club. It's a 1-for-1.
Beautifully done by Inspired as he punishes the aggression from Knight. Knight is doing what he can on the map. Really the only point of gold advantage on the side of BLG, but now the Soul is alive in 20 seconds and BLG have lost their mid laner. Meanwhile, Inspired with a 3k gold advantage is poised to secure the Soul for FlyQuest.
Yeah, and he's got a lot of that gold still to spend. Whippo, meanwhile, did spend his, and he had that very early Sterix come in for the last couple of plays that we saw. Objective bounties are on the map because of the giant lead that FlyQuest have, but really it comes down to the Soul as the breaking point here. Do BLG have any magic of their own to extend this game, or will FlyQuest just claim it?
14-3, favoring FlyQuest with the Hex Soul at about half HP. BLG looking for some kind of an angle to try to approach, but immediately Whippo already starts it up and Beishuan's under pressure. Nature's Grab fires out. Whippo's still here on the front line. On goes in for the charm onto Inspire. They've already got him low, but it ain't gonna be low enough. Masu with the first kill. FlyQuest one more. Whippo shielded up, but he finally dies. The Soul is claimed by FlyQuest, and we end up getting a trade of kills.
BLG will be given no purchase, no space, no opportunity to steal the objective away. Masu throws the ultimate out just to clear out the wave, get a bit of chip damage onto Elk. Nice sidesteps from him, but the Soul is secured. FlyQuest is looking to bring us to Silver Scrapes and Game 5.
Yeah, with the Hex Soul, you can constantly throw out Jin long-range abilities just to set up for the Hwei damage, but the Otacon force here from BLG, it is desperation.
It's a Hail Mary from BLG, but the Tempered Fate is already connected on to Knight. Deadly Flourish, but he buffers through it. Been in some danger already here with the front line, and he dies. Inspired dominating as the Otacon is left at half HP for FlyQuest. BLG still seeing if there's any chance for an angle here. Otacon at 5,000. FlyQuest with control over the pit, but they got to be careful to not tank too much. Deadly Flourish won't collide on a target, and now Whippo is still looking. The Otacon goes over to Inspired, and BLG will lose another objective. FlyQuest back up to a 5,000 gold lead.
Yeah, On tried to go in there with his Spellbook Smite. You know, anytime you see these supports jumping around, it can get really close and dangerous. So nice one there to lock it down for FlyQuest, for Inspired. And now they can just reset back to Baron side of the map. Whippo does not have his teleport though, so he pushes the wave and starts to walk over.
My goodness, Inspired.
You want him back, don't you?
Of
Sorry,
course.
sorry, no deal.
The interrupt onto Knight. He's
Knight
trying
in
his best to
danger.
get
Immediately the Deadly Flourish. Masu's got the kill. Vengeance for Knight's earlier play in the mid lane. 25 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock. Knight dead for the next 40 seconds. Baron is the call for FlyQuest. BLG don't even look like they're gonna try to respond.
An uncontested Baron. BLG are running out of options here in Game 4. The ulti comes through.
Tempered Fate finds Beishuan. On now, very low as well. Spiraling Despair connecting onto the jungler as Quad's got a flash to make sure that he doesn't get killed by Elk. Nice max range, Chains of Corruption. Quad is sniped down, but it buys enough time for the rest of FlyQuest to claim their Baron.
Yeah, they'll be happy with that one still. They have so much pushing power here. That plus Hex Soul and the range that they have on this team, BLG are just gonna get pushed in over and over and over. The siege will be inevitable from FlyQuest. So BLG, they have to look for a Maokai angle on the side to just get some sort of dream ultimate and like a very quick pick with Rakan. But I don't think FlyQuest have any reason to expose themselves to an overload play, so.
Quite frankly, I think you don't overcomplicate it. You get Whippo, you get Inspired, and you go forward. I think you put the push music on and you start pushing.
Magical journey!
There it is, Busio and Whippo going after Bin. Deadly Flourish from downtown, and Bin flashes to try to live through it. That haymaker, it's a 5-knuckle sandwich for Bin, and Whippo's eating good.
Busio has done so much work for FlyQuest. Yes, of course, the star of the show, Inspired, has been doing all of the damage, getting all the kills, but Busio, the supporting cast, has been setting up all these plays, and now BLG look to respond.
Inspired flashing out of the way of Nature's Grab, trying to make sure that he doesn't get blown up here at the very start of the fight, drops the subjugate and turns on. Tempered Fate to buy Inspired time. He heals up with the King's Tribute, and BLG have already lost 3 men across the map. kill for Masu. Elk is the last man standing, and he at least gets a kill into Busio, but now he's got to try to escape. Quad and Masu ready to fire as Spiraling Despair misses. Masu with the proc on the Hexal to slow down Elk. Guarantees the kill. Only Bin standing. FlyQuest are moving to the Nexus turrets. It's Yorick against Masu. Quad and Bwipo on finally respawning as well. Maiden of the Mist wanting to buy some time as FlyQuest have made it onto the second Nexus turret. The Nexus open, vulnerable. Bwipo forcing his way forward as Inspired puts in the work on the Nexus, and FlyQuest bring us to Silver Scrapes.